Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering you've just won the lottery. Not a couple thousand, not even a few million, but the full jackpot, $450 million. The first instinct most people have is to call everyone they know, pop champagne, and start house shopping. But here's the truth. Sudden wealth is dangerous. Studies show that 70% of lottery winners go broke within a decade. Not because the money wasn't enough, but because they didn't know how to handle it. There are endless cautionary tales. A man in West Virginia won $315 million and was bankrupt within 4 years. In the UK, a woman won £10 million, bought mansions and horses, and admitted a decade later that the money had ruined her life. Sudden wealth is like fire. In the wrong hands, it burns everything down. But in the right hands, it can light up not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. So what should you actually do if $450 million suddenly landed in your account? Today, we're breaking down 11 steps, exactly what the ultra-wealthy would do to protect, grow, and enjoy that fortune. Your very first move isn't to spend, it's to stay quiet. If news gets out, you'll suddenly have friends you've never met, distant relatives asking for loans, and scammers lining up to take a piece. With $450 million at stake, privacy becomes your first asset. The smart move? Hire a lawyer and claim the prize through a trust or LLC so your name doesn't go public. This protects you and buys time to plan. Billionaires know that the less people know, the safer the money stays. Even if you've just won nearly $500 million, debt is still a drag. Credit card balances, payday loans, and even student loans should be cleared immediately. Say you had $100,000 in personal debt. It's a drop in the ocean compared to $450 million, but psychologically, it matters. It removes liabilities and gives you a clean slate. That feeling of financial freedom is the foundation of building wealth responsibly. It sounds strange when you have hundreds of millions, but liquidity is essential. Banks can freeze funds, investments can crash, lawsuits can arise. You need a cash buffer. For someone this wealthy, a smart move would be to park $10 to $20 million in cash or short-term government bonds. That's your safety net. It covers living expenses and emergencies without ever touching the main fortune. Even billionaires keep cash on hand for this reason, because flexibility is power. Managing $450 million is not a DIY project. Billionaires rely on teams, and so should you. A financial advisor or family office typically charges 0.25% to 1% of assets under management per year. For $450 million, that could mean $1 to $4 million annually in fees. But it's worth it. You'll also need tax attorneys, estate planners, and accountants. Altogether, your wealth management team might cost around $5 million a year. It sounds like a lot, but without them, you risk losing far more. Think of it as building your own mini family office, something families like the Rockefellers and Waltons have had for generations. These teams don't just manage investments, they handle property purchases, legal shields, payroll for staff, and even private security. Sudden wealth attracts lawsuits and opportunists. That's why billionaires use trusts, LLCs, and foundations to separate personal identity from assets. You might place your new mansions inside LLCs. You'd structure investments through holding companies, and you'd update your will immediately to control where the money goes if something happens. Setting up this protection could cost hundreds of thousands in legal fees up front, but it could save hundreds of millions later. The temptation is huge. Buy the mansion, the yacht, the private jet, maybe even a sports team. But the ultra-rich know that the biggest financial mistakes happen in the first year of sudden wealth. So instead of spending immediately, set a cooling-off period. For the first 12 months, limit yourself to 5% of your net worth for lifestyle upgrades. That's still $22 million to play with. Enough for a mega mansion, a supercar collection, or luxury vacations, without jeopardizing the long-term plan. Here's the difference between billionaires and lottery winners. A billionaire who makes $450 million doesn't change much. They already have systems in place. A lottery winner, on the other hand, often goes on a spree. Within a year, they've spent 20% of their net worth, and the fortune starts to crumble. Discipline is what separates lasting wealth from temporary riches. Once the excitement calms, it's time to grow the fortune. That means assets, real estate in prime locations, index funds, private equity, maybe even a stake in a company you believe in. A conservative billionaire-style allocation might look like this: 40% in index funds and bonds, or about $180 million, another 30% in real estate, or $135 million, spread across trophy properties in global cities, 20% in private equity and startups, about $90 million, where the big upside is, and the last 10% split between cash reserves and lifestyle fun. The key is balance. Imagine that $180 million in index funds earns just 6% annually. That's almost $11 million a year in passive income. The $135 million in real estate could bring in another $5 to $8 million through rents and appreciation. Suddenly, your fortune isn't shrinking, it's expanding, even while you live in luxury. This is where most new millionaires slip. On a $450 million lottery win, taxes could immediately strip away 40 to 50%, depending on where you live. That leaves closer to $225 to $250 million net. Then every investment you make has tax implications: capital gains, property taxes, estate taxes. Without strategy, you could lose another 30 to 40% over time. With the right advisors, you minimize the damage. For example, buying a $50 million estate in California means paying $600,000 a year in property taxes. Over 10 years, that's $6 million. Billionaires plan around these details, which is why so many of them live in states like Florida or Texas, where there's no state income tax. Sudden wealth changes your social life. Old friends may not understand, while new people may only see dollar signs. The wealthy solve this by upgrading their network. With $450 million, you'd now move in circles of entrepreneurs, investors, and philanthropists. This isn't about showing off. It's about learning how to manage and grow wealth from those who've done it before. The right dinner party or business connection could be worth more than any luxury purchase. Money without a plan disappears. You'd need to decide how much to live on, how much to invest, and how much to set aside for future generations. A common billionaire strategy is to live off 2 to 3% of net worth per year. On $250 million after taxes, that's $5 to $7 million a year in spending money, without ever touching the principal. That's enough for multiple homes, travel, staff, and luxury, while the fortune continues to grow. This is how dynasties are built. Families like the Rothschilds and Waltons never spend the core fortune. They live off the returns, ensuring the wealth compounds generation after generation. Finally, ask yourself, what story do you want your money to tell? For many, it's philanthropy. For others, it's building generational wealth so their children and grandchildren never worry. With $450 million, you could create a foundation, endow scholarships, or fund medical research. A simple move would be to donate 1% of your net worth annually, about $2.5 million, which could change thousands of lives every single year. Warren Buffett pledged 99% of his fortune to philanthropy. The Gates Foundation has poured billions into global health. On a smaller scale, your $450 million could still transform entire communities. So what should you do if you suddenly find yourself holding a $450 million lottery check? Don't tell everyone. Clear your debts, build safety nets, hire experts, protect yourself legally, avoid impulsive buys, grow your wealth with smart investments, understand taxes, upgrade your network, build a plan, and finally think about the legacy you want to leave. Most people who suddenly get rich lose it all within a decade. But if you follow these steps, you won't just be rich for today, you'll be wealthy for generations. The truth is, most lottery winners treat their jackpot like a party. The ultra-rich treat it like an empire. The difference is discipline, structure, and vision. The real question is, if $450 million landed in your account tomorrow, what would you do first? If you enjoyed this breakdown of what it really takes to handle sudden wealth, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the world of wealth, luxury, and the lifestyles of the ultra-rich. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.